What is up, you guys? Micah276 here with a video. Happy Monday to everybody. Hope everybody had a good weekend and that everybody is having a good start to their week. And welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about this little guy, the Unication G4, which is one of those devices that sits in a really interesting space between being a radio, a pager, and specialized public safety gear all in one. If you're into scanners, emergency communication, or you've seen these pop up online and wondered what is that thing and why do people swear by it, this video is for you and you are in exactly the right place. Keep in mind also, this is not sponsored. I'm not affiliated with Unication in any way, and I'm not trying to sell you anything. This is just my real world experience, specifically with the G4 after 7 months, what it does extremely well, where it has limitations, and who it actually makes sense for. Before we dive in too deep, what is the Unication G4? So at its core, the G4 is a P25 digital voice pager, so it's not a scanner. It's designed primarily for fire, EMS, and public safety personnel who need extremely reliable alerting and clear voice reception. Again, this is not a traditional scanner, and it's not meant to replace something like a unit in SDS or a wideband handheld radio. The priority with the G4 purely comes down to alerting, voice kind of being a secondary priority. When a call comes in, it's designed to get your attention immediately. So loud tones, strong vibrations, screen alerts, and then give you clean, intelligible audio for the traffic that actually matters. If you are public safety personnel, that's going to come in really, really key for you. Reliability is also the entire philosophy behind this device. It's built for situations where missing a call just is not an option, which again, for public safety personnel, really, really key. Why do people want one? The reason the G4 has such a strong reputation really comes down to a couple key factors. First is your P25 performance. For those of you that are familiar with radios and scanning, you will probably know what I'm referring to. It is also especially strong on simulcast systems, and the audio is excellent. And it handles environments where a traditional scanner might struggle really, really well. And third is the battery life. Compared to most scanners, the G4 is extremely efficient, which is surprising, especially given its form factor and how small it is. Depending on how it's used, you can go days without needing to charge it. If you are public safety personnel and your agency uses the Unication G4, if you have them on for longer spans, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, you're probably going to need to charge it a little bit more often. But for me, I can go easily 3 or 4, if not 5 days before there's even a hint at needing to plug it in. So that combination of clarity, reliability, and endurance is exactly why these things are so widely used in public safety. What are its strengths? There's a lot of things this does really well. There's a couple areas where it's really going to shine. First is the audio clarity. Again, in relation to the overall form factor of the pager, the speaker is surprisingly good given its form factor. Voices come through clearly. Digital artifacting is going to be very, very low, if not possibly even non-existent. And it's very easy to understand those transmissions even at lower volume levels. Second is the build quality. This thing feels solid. It's heavy, it's easy to hold, and if you were to drop it, it's probably going to survive that. It's got a built-in belt clip, so you can clip it onto your belt, you can clip it onto maybe a radio strap, you can clip it onto a bag. It's going to be perfectly fine with all of those things. Simplicity in day-to-day use, once it's programmed, very easy. There's very little fiddling once you program it. You're not constantly digging through search filters or adjusting anything in the menu. It just does what it does best once it's up and running. Keep in mind, though, that the G4 is purpose-built. It's not trying to do everything, but it does one thing extremely well, and it succeeds at that. I do also want to clear up a common misconception about the G4, which is the programming. The software itself is not restricted. In my case, a friend of mine who's a 911 dispatcher created a profile for me based on frequencies that I like to listen to in Alameda County, sent me that profile via email, and then I was able to import the profile onto the pager directly using the settings. That part was very easy, so I didn't need any special access or locked permissions. You will see, for those of you that use the software, you'll create a password at the beginning, but that is literally the only level of restriction that it gives. You don't need an access key or anything like that. And honestly, if I sat down and really took the time to learn the software, I'm sure I could create a profile from scratch. Although thankfully, especially given that I was new to the G4 at the time that I picked it up, I did not have to worry about doing that. So it's more about learning the layout and the logic of the software than needing any form of authorization in order to use it. So it's not a situation where you are totally dependent on somebody else. There is a learning curve, especially if you're coming from consumer scanners, which have a tendency to be a lot more simple in terms of their programming. But it's not a locked door. So if you wanted to take the time to learn the software and create a profile from scratch, you could. But keep in mind, it's not something you're probably going to be able to do in a day unless you are really, really familiar with radio systems and scanners and are a really fast learner. All that being said, the G4 does have its limitations. It's not perfect. Flexibility. It's not a scan everything device. You're selecting both specific systems as well as specific talk groups. If you love hopping around, searching frequencies, or exploring things constantly, you're probably going to have more fun with a traditional scanner. And what I mean when I say traditional scanner is going to be something like this guy, which is the Uniden SDS 100, where you can just input your zip code and it will take from the radio reference database all of the frequencies in your local area, and you can start scanning very, very quickly. Third, this is a big one, is the price. These things are expensive. The Unication G4 is going to run you anywhere between $700 to $800, which is higher in comparison than most consumer scanners. If we're using SDS's lineup as a comparison, so the Uniden SDS 100, this guy is going to run you about $650 to $700, and then the SDS 200, which is Uniden's base model, is going to run you roughly $750 at the time of this video, so January 2026. There's no sugarcoating that. For most hobbyists, the cost alone is going to make it a tough sell. And it did for me at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought it could be fun to test out the G4. And here we are 7 months later, really enjoying the experience overall. So while the G4 is excellent at what it does, it's absolutely not going to be a one-size-fits-all solution. Who does the G4 actually make sense for? If you're in fire, EMS, public safety, and your system supports it, it's going to make a lot of sense. The reliability, the alerting, and the clarity are exactly what it's designed for, and it exceeds really, really well in all three of those areas. If you are a serious hobbyist who mainly monitors one or two P25 systems and values clean audio over flexibility, it's also going to do really, really well for you in terms of that, especially if you're in a simulcast area, and performance in simulcast areas matters where you live. But if you're new to the hobby and love just freely scanning, for lack of a technical term, everything under the sun, a traditional scanner again, traditional being something in the realm of the unit in SDS 100, is going to probably be a better starting point, but you're not locked into the unit in SDS 100 as the starting point. There are some other pagers or scanners in this case, but keep in mind that a lot of emergency frequencies have gone to digital, where any radios that are not able to scan digital, you will not have the best of luck at being able to pick those up. Final thoughts. Overall, the Unication G4 is definitely a specialized tool and a very good one. It's not trying to be a scanner, it's not trying to be a radio, and it's definitely not trying to be cheap. It's designed to do one job very, very well, and overall, I would say it significantly exceeds at doing that. Whether it's worth it really comes down to your use case. For some people, it's going to be way overkill, and for others, it's going to be exactly what they need. For me, it was kind of a little bit of both in the beginning, but as I got more familiar with the pager and started using it more day to day to monitor specialized P25 systems, it ended up fitting into my day-to-day rotation significantly better than I originally anticipated it would. So that was a lot of information, but if anybody has questions, want a follow-up video, or want me to dive deeper into the programming or the comparisons, don't hesitate to drop a comment below and I will do my best to get back to all of those. Hope y'all enjoyed this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Micro276 signing off, and I'll see you next time.